Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the process of creating masks in GeoPix. If you're not familiar, masks are a very useful feature that lets you specify which pixels or fixtures you actually want a projector to apply content to. This is useful when your projector needs more granularity than it provides in its own bounding. So if you are, scaling a projector and trying to fit it down to just a specific set of fixtures, but you keep overlapping things you don't want to overlap, this is actually a good trick to allow you to kind of apply it to just what you need without having to position the projector differently. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm going to begin by deleting my projectors, go over here to I/O, and I'm just going to wipe out my macros. And then I'm going to just select all of this stuff here in the viewport, and we'll go to Fixture, Mask Editor, and I'll click this button that says Delete All Masks on All Fixtures. So this kind of cleans the slate and allows us to kind of start over from scratch here without actually rebuilding this stuff. So with that done, let's go ahead and do the first step that we always need to do, which is creating a projector. So I'm going to rotate this -90 on X, and then I'll do projector fit to scene, and that will just quickly shore up our projector so that it's hitting everything in our scene. We'll test it out by raising the constant color, and looks like we have everything lighting up, and so that's good to go. By the way, something else to mention for this tutorial, I have put these custom fixtures in that are not a very realistic type of fixture. There's no dimmer or strobe channels that affect the overall brightness like you usually see in lights. So I've done this just to keep it simple, but just know that if you have your dimmer channel down on a light, you're not going to see it turn on, and you won't see your masks show up for those either. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so we've got a projector, but we actually want to limit this projector to, say, just the outline. So this is actually pretty simple to do. All we need to do is find our outline fixture, which is fixture 1 for us, and we'll go to Fixture Mask Editor, and we'll basically just create a mask for this fixture. So in the field up here, go ahead and type in a name. We'll call this Edge, and with the correct fixture or pixel selected, just click Create. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a mask here in this list that we can work with and add things to, subtract things from, and so on and so forth. So if we hover over this item, you'll see that it shows up in the viewport as purple. This is just a quick way to preview a mask without having to actually hook it up to anything. So you can just mouse over your masks and see if they look correct. So that's quite useful. And already we can tell that we have our edge nice and highlighted and doing what we need to do. So next, I'm going to go ahead and grab our inner fixtures, these kind of, I think they're 16 by 16 grids. And so we'll just kind of have those selected here and make a new mask. We'll call this inner. And we'll just click Create with those selected. And you'll see that we now have those showing up as well. Okay, so that's looking good. Lastly, let's go ahead and put our custom lights on the inner group, just so that we have kind of an inside and an outside group that is, divided by another group, just to kind of show the full use of this system. So we'll grab these fixtures and we will simply add it to inner with this plus icon here, and that will add it to that group. So real quick about these buttons, we have the plus and minus, which essentially set whatever you have selected to either 1 or 0 for that mask, and you can also delete that mask from the selected objects, and you can also delete that mask from all objects. And then down here we have delete all masks that give you some more global controls if you want to just kind of start over. But that's pretty much it to getting your mask set up and working. So one more thing I would like to show you is grab this outer fixture. Let's go ahead and modify a few pixels on this mask. So we've been adding these masks to the fixture as a whole, but if you have some pixels selected, let's just grab these over here. You can actually add and remove them from a mask. So this is the edge. So by default, everything is on. So if we actually click the minus button, what we'll do, if we hop back over here to object mode, is we've removed that from the edge mask. So that's quite useful. And similarly, you can also, here in pixel mode, grab a few and you can add it back. And this allows you to kind of create really interesting and very granular masks if needed. So that's a very useful feature to have in your back pocket as well. Okay, so we'll just add this all back to 1. And now that we've got that done, let's actually hook this up to our projectors and make it work. So we'll call this projector inner, and we'll scroll down here to the routing section, and this is where we configure our masks and connect them to our projector. So we've got the constant color of red, and we're just using the projector's own color for now. And down here in routing, we have routing R, G, and B, which are default values for the projector. But we also have these parameters called mask R, mask G, and mask B, and also A. We're not using the alpha channel, so we can just ignore that for now. And the way this works, and just to recap too on the routing projector parameter, is that this is basically saying I would like to route the red channel of my projector's texture to the R channel in GeoPix. And R is of course representing red, but it could be anything. It could be pan, it could be tilt, whatever. Same with G, right? This is all kind of doing the same thing. This is saying route the green channel of the texture that's in the projector, or that's linked to it, to the G channel of GeoPix. So with that in mind, masking works similarly, right? So we have mask R, which is basically saying which GeoPix mask do you want to limit this routing by. So all you really need to do here is put in some of your mask names. So if you pull up our mask editor, you've got edge and enter. Those are the two names, and they both start with an uppercase letter, so we'll just remember that. So grab our inner projector and we scroll down again. Let's just go to mask R and we'll type inner. You'll notice it goes dark. That's good. That's doing what it's supposed to do. Now this is only limiting the red channel, right? So if we had some kind of color with other channels, it would not be limiting those. It would just be limiting the red channel. But let's go ahead and put this in for every single one of our RGB channels so that we can kind of mask this color in its entirety. And so once we've done that, doesn't matter what color we have here, we are only limiting it to the inner mask. So that's looking good. Let's go ahead and duplicate this projector and we'll move it up, and let's call this projector edge. And we'll do the exact same thing, but let's pick a different color so we can see the effects of it. Let's go ahead and reset these, and we'll call this edge, edge, and edge. Oops. So there you have it. We've essentially now made two masks, or two projectors, and each one is using a different mask to control or constrain the routing information that's going out. So this allows us to kind of have anything go on in here that we want. And so now that we've validated this is working, we can actually hook this back up to our macros. Because in the end of the day, you probably are going to be hooking up your projectors to something. We're going to hit Shift U so that we can see our viewport here in the I/O tab. And I'm actually going to go ahead and wipe out the constant color. So we can put this spinny blue and purple texture into our edge. We can put this green one right into our inner group. And there you go. We now have the macro, two different texture out nodes plugged into two different projectors, and they are both being masked differently. So if you have a situation where you also in some cases want your macro to output a texture to the entire thing and not be limited by a mask, the way to do that is to create a third projector, and we'll call this projector all. And back over here in the I/O tab, let's go ahead and duplicate this macro. Let's say we have a totally different macro We don't care about this other input, and let's just go ahead and turn that off for a moment, and let's just pick a new color. Maybe it's just like a hue ramp, right? Just something very different. So that's looking fine. If we go back out to exit macro here, notice we have some errors. This is normal because we changed our output configuration. Just reset those and drag this to projector all. And projector all needs to have the masks removed because we don't want any masking for this projector. And let's go ahead and turn off our macro too. And so you can see we have our projector all, which is hitting everything. And then our macro 2, which is using the 2 projectors that have mask control. So this is a great way to mix and match, right? Having mask control and unmasked control as well. So just take some time to play around with that and get to know it. It's a very powerful feature. And once you've kind of set up your projectors and they are kind of fixed in place and doing what you need them to do, you can really mix and match these kind of styles of working and come up with some really cool content that way. So, okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one.